So here I am with my mom's 2017 BMW i3 range extender, the weirdest, but yet one of the most fun cars you're ever going to drive. The 12-volt accessory battery, however, will go dead. Most people find this happens within about 3 or 4 years, as is the case with this one. So what do? Well, it's not like the Nissan Leaf, where you just pop the hood, there's the battery, you remove it, put in the new one. This is a different deal. First thing you have to do is figure out how to open the hood, because once your accessory battery dies, this is not going to open just by pushing the button. So let's jump inside and I'll show you the workaround. So if you're sitting in the driver's seat here, you're going to go down here on the side. And there's the button. You would normally just push that and it would open, but it will not work if that accessory battery is dead. So you're going to pop this and then reach in there and you're going to see there's a little cable. You pull that cable and that pops the trunk. So let's get back outside under the hood. Okay, so now we've got the hood open, but when you look under this, what you're going to see is just a whole bunch of plastic. Let me get some close-ups. So this is your view when you open it. As you can see, there is no accessory battery to be found. So what you have to do is you have to take the bin out for the front. And then once you get the bin out, you pull these side plastic pieces off. They literally just pop out. So with the bin out and those out, now you have access to some important stuff. Now where is the accessory battery? You still don't see it here. You still don't see it here. But if you go way down in there, and I'm going to try to point it out. You can see that yellow tag. Let me just zoom in. That is your accessory battery. So let me zoom out so you can see what the difficulty we're dealing with here. So even with this bin out of place, it's very hard to get in there and get that. So a couple of tricks. One, this is your spout for your windshield washer fluid. This guy will twist and pop off. And you can see that gives you much cleaner access to the battery. Still not perfect, but something. Another key thing to keep in mind, this funky little green clip. This clip is key to your survival. This will disconnect the big lithium battery from the 12-volt accessory battery before you remove it. We're going to go through all of that in just a moment here. So we're going to go step by step with full pictures and explanation. We're going to talk about every tool you need to do the work, about how long it should take you, and a couple of tips and tricks that'll make this easier for you. Okay, now, disclaimer. I recommend you take this thing to the shop and let an authorized BMW mechanic do this work. That's what we did with Mom's. Cost about $400. Saved me some broken knuckles, probably. Andy Sue from Toronto, however, did this himself. So let's talk to him right now and get the step-by-step instructions. All right, just before we get started, I just want to say a big thank you to our channel members, and also thank you to all of you who have subscribed. We have reached 1,150 subscribers, all because of you. If you haven't subscribed yet and you're interested in electric vehicle related material, this is the place to be, so go ahead and subscribe. Now let's get right to it. Hey Andy, thanks for being here and walking us through changing your BMW i3 accessory battery. We really do appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me back on. I'm glad to share what I found out.
So can we start, Andy, first with the tools? You sent this nice picture. You said that these are the only tools you needed to do it?
Yeah, it's surprisingly easy, just basic hand tools. You need a flathead screwdriver, a socket with an extension, a Torx 30-bit or a T30-bit, a 5/32 Allen key, and it's 10mm socket if you can find one.
Man, that's it. You know, I can always find a 10mm socket, but it's always at the bottom of my bag. You know, after I've read every other one, and then I don't know anybody that ever keeps them in the tray. I've tried.
You're lucky. I swear I bought so many over the years. They just all disappear.
Yeah, I've probably bought 100 10mm sockets. Okay, so one more question before we get started on the actual process. About how long would I expect to take to get this done from popping the hood to closing the hood?
I would say comfortably give yourself 45 minutes to an hour.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's get to it. So first I got a picture here. It looks like you've removed the side panels, the Velcro on plastic, but the tub is not removed yet.
Yes, so the tub or the frunk,
right,
is held in with 6 screws. So this is where you're going to need your T30 and your Allen.
You need both just to get the frunk off? Two different.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. They could have just made them all the same, but uh, the two bottom ones are your Torx, and then the other four, which are two in the back and two in the front, are your 532nd Allen keys.
And then
Or
when you get all those out, is it take any wiggling or an extra pressure to get
it just lifts right out. It's a plastic bin. There's really nothing fancy about it.
the BMW with all the technology and all the creativity? Here's a plastic bin.
Hey, it works well. So
Yeah, that's right. What's it going to do anyway? Hold your tire goo if you get a flat, and hold your chuck to tow it if you need to tow it. It doesn't do anything. You don't use your frunk, do you, for any storage other than like a charger or something?
I keep a bottle of washer fluid there. That's
Fair,
about it.
fair enough. It's kind of cool. Okay, let's go to this other picture here. Now what I'm seeing is the frunk is removed, the plastic sides are removed. So what's my next step?
So you're going to notice there's a little green plug. At least it's green in mine. It could be an orange one or a green one. Just depends on the model year. The green ones are typically what they ended up using towards the end of the production. The orange ones are the earlier ones, and that's your master lockout for your drive battery. And it's really important that you disable your drive battery before you work on your car's electrical system.
Okay, so before I even touch the 12 volt, you're saying I need to disconnect this cable, this green connector.
Yes. So on the green one, you pull up. There's a little tab, and you pull up. On the orange one, there's a little tab, and you pull down.
Okay. So really, I wonder why they would switch the connector halfway through production.
Who knows? Maybe it was just one of those things where they ran out of one and figured we'll use something else we have.
There's a couple of those laying over there. Grab them.
Exactly.
This next picture I noticed, this struck my attention. You have like a piece of string, like shoelace or something, tied around that connector. What's that all about?
So the lockout switch is exactly that. It's a lockout. So when you pull the switch up, in this case, there will be a little hoop that also pops up with it, where you can physically put something like a lock to prevent it from being re-engaged by accident and damaging your electrical system or shorting out something else. So in this case here, I just happen to have a little bit of strapping that I tied on there, just in case it would go loose and reset itself.
Okay. Or someone walks by and thinks they're helping you out and plugs it in, right?
Exactly. It's better to be safe than sorry.
So essentially like lockout, tag out, like we learned in construction or working on cars or whatever. Smart.
Exactly.
So now I'm seeing a picture of what looks like a wiring harness. And if I'm not mistaken, if I'm facing the car, this is on the left side, right in front of where I'll find the accessory battery. Is that right?
That's correct. So that harness there is the harness which actually attaches to the 12 volt auxiliary battery. It's a pretty hefty piece of wiring and connectors on it. It is. It doesn't move a lot, but it moves enough.
Okay. So then in this next picture, is that after, because I don't see it now, so you must have removed it.
Yep, I would have taken it off of the battery by now.
Okay.
Special note though, if you're really keen with what's under the hood of the car, you'll notice that the fill spout for the washer tank has been removed, and it was a great point to do so because it gives you that much more room to work to get the batteries out. I have large hands, so if you don't have large hands, hey, you don't have to take it off, but it gives you that much more space, and it just twists and pops off. So
anything to make it easier, right? I mean,
Mhm.
now last thing, well, that's good. I noticed that that was missing, and that really does just twist and pull straight up, right?
Yep, there's a little O-ring on there as well because German engineering, right? Let's over-engineer everything. So just make sure when you put it back on, you also put the O-ring back on.
Or it's going to leak.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now I've got that wiring harness off. I got the spout off for the windshield washer fluid. And then what's my next move? Is it
Alrighty. Well, there's the battery is held on with a battery clamp,
okay?
and this is where you're going to need your 10 millimeter.
Okay.
There'll be two 10 millimeter bolts to take off, and then that piece comes off. It's made of aluminum.
Okay.
And then you're going to take your socket with the extension and 10 millimeter again and loosen the terminals holding the negative and positive so that you can then lift the harness off of the battery. But before you pull the battery out, be careful. There is a gas vent on the battery. So you got to reach around to the right side and feel for it and just pull the little plug out and make sure you don't lose that or break it because you got to plug it back into your new battery because in the event that your battery is releasing gases, it will vent it away to a safe exit point.
Oh, it's almost like a crash protection. If you get some front end collision, puts pressure on the battery, they want to control where that gas is going.
Yeah, or if you have a battery problem and your battery starts shorting out, it will redirect the gases so that your car is not likely to have further possibilities of ignition.
Okay, that's smart because I've seen batteries swell sometimes where it look like they really should have some kind of release mechanism or it's just going to. So now you got a picture of the battery side by side, and I can see that the one you took out has brass fittings on it, but the one you bought, the new one, does not. What's the deal with that?
Now this is where it's a little bit unique. The battery that you took out does not actually fit the terminals onto it. Or not the terminals, but the wiring harness cannot connect to it without those brass terminals, I should say.
Oh,
So those brass terminals, don't lose them, don't throw them out. You need to take them off with your Torx bit again and transfer them over to your new battery. And there's no way to get it wrong because they only go on one way.
that's good. That's good for people like me. And I think
actually, there's the negative terminal will actually have a negative sign on it because, well, you could really force it on wrong, but might as well get it done right.
Exactly. And didn't you mention, Andy, when you first removed your old battery, that these fittings were loose?
To my surprise, actually, the terminals were a little bit on the loose side, and I figured from all the driving and vibrations and everything, they might have shaken loose because there's no lock washer or Loctite or anything on that.
Oh, wow.
I would say it wouldn't be a bad idea to check your battery terminals once in a while, just in case, and use your 10 millimeter just to snug it up if necessary. Because anything loose, especially electrical, could bring up a fault and could be an expensive visit for a diagnostic.
Yeah, or it could just not do anything. If it doesn't make a connection, you can't get your doors open. It's that's a good tip. If you start to have problems with your BMW i3, maybe take a minute, pull the tub, remove the washer valve, get in there with your extension and just tighten up your battery. Give it a shot. All right, so then you put the battery back in. Now, was that it? Once you got the new battery in, you got everything reassembled. Is that it now, or is there more to be done?
Well, it's up for debate. The final step after putting it back in and reattaching everything else and tightening everything, putting the bucket, putting it all back together again, which is really easy. There's the question about registering the battery with the car. Now, with a lot of ICE cars from BMW, you have to register the batteries because their charging system is reliant on this registration process. In many forums, people say about the i3, oh, it doesn't apply. You can just throw a battery in, pull it out, no problem. You know what? I err on the side of caution, and I registered the battery. I downloaded another app to use with my Bluetooth adapter, registered the battery for sure. No issues that way because it would be done exactly the same way at the dealership. And we all know if you do it the same way, you're not going to have any issues.
Right. And so if someone wanted to go the extra mile and instead of just put it in and hope the car recognizes it appropriately, where would they find that app and what should they search for the Bluetooth adapter?
The app is actually made by the same people who make Bimmer Code.
Okay.
It's their other piece of software, and I believe it's called Bimmer Link. And it's a diagnostics tool. It can save you a lot of money with BMWs, other than the i3 as well, because it is a diagnostic tool. And they have links for the Bluetooth adapters, which will work with their software. The other option would be to buy a battery coating diagnostics tool, but those things are quite expensive, and really you'll use them once. Might as well just get the app, have it for life.
Yeah. So it sounds like if I find the Bimmerlink app, I'll find their recommendation code reader. So I can just do it
Exactly.
all in one place.
Exactly. But
Cool.
I have to make a special mention about the battery, though. So, one critical thing that a lot of people don't realize about the battery is it may not be fully charged when you pick it up.
Oh,
Because the battery,
really?
yep, the battery, after it leaves the factory, begins to lose charge. So, for you to have an optimum setup, it's best to trickle charge your battery till it's full before installing.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip, Andy. Thank you for that.
You're
So,
welcome.
how long ago did you go through this process? And have you had any issues, any warning lights, anything happened since you changed your i3 battery?
It's been about 2 weeks now since I did the battery swap, and I thought, maybe it was subjective. I think because the car was unplugged for a while and the battery drained a bit, some of the systems had to relearn things.
Hmm.
So, of course, the date and time needed to be updated again because just like a regular car, when you take off battery,
Right.
your radio needs to be reset. So I had to re-input the date and time, and then just little things seem to work a little bit better. The um, keyless entry seemed to work faster.
Hmm. Wow.
Just little things seem to be a little bit more responsive. So it could be
Cool.
subjective, but I did notice that walking up to the car, it recognized the key fob really quickly, whereas before it might take a second or two sometimes.
Wow, cool. Well, I can't thank you enough. I mean, we have a pretty good audience of BMW i3 enthusiasts, like I call them, as am I. As you know, my mom has the i3, and it is a fantastic car. And I've enjoyed watching you find yours, and we've had a few of these talks, and it's extremely helpful, Andy. And I know you're busy, running Toronto, managing the entire city yourself, keeping the trains running on time, and all of that. So we really do appreciate you taking a few minutes for us.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I hope you found that useful. Again, I recommend taking this car to the shop, but if you want to take it out on yourself, please be careful, and hopefully some of this material will save you some time and maybe help you be a little safer. Chad from Drive the Lightning, so happy you're here. Are you interested in more electric vehicle related material? What about more information about the BMW i3? There's a video right here that you might find interesting. Or if you're interested in the new solar electric powered Aptera, then this video I think you'll find truly interesting. That's it for me. Have a great day. Thank you for being here. Thumbs up.